and welcome to another edition of What's the Word in association with Ladbroke Slim Down Team. This week joined by Brendan Duke and Johnny Ward, looking ahead to the weekend's horse racing action. To be honest, it isn't the most wonderful or chock-a-block weekend of action, so I might have a little look ahead to the jumps. But before we do, any punting lessons learned during the week, Johnny?
Yeah.
None too harsh, hopefully.
I was let down for a lot of money by a 1-to-5 shot in the accumulator last night, and I was very lucky because just after the race, it was actually the first leg of a treble. So the other two obviously won, and you're looking at them hoping they don't win, blah blah blah. But I was lucky because I had to go straight to play a game of AstroTurf, and I was just like, you just forget about it straight away. And I think as a punter, that would have the odd discipline issue from time to time. It's great to just be able to just say, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm not watching the rest of the card. And also, I learned a nice lesson that anti-post funding is actually great fun because we're all on the Kew Gardens bandwagon for the Ledger.
Yeah.
And obviously the fillies' victory at York, I was like, I actually don't think he's going to beat her.
Lati
Dar. And we're going to talk about her full sister later on, I think. But just it's great fun, the ups and the downs, and now she's not going to run the race and everyone's happy again.
You're delighted.
I backed that horse in April and it's been a fun ride, like, and he hasn't even won yet.
For 5 months worth of crack out.
Absolutely.
As opposed
so now,
to
do you want to back Samcro to win the champion hurdle?
Well, that's the next question. Jiggy, would you back Samcro to win a champion hurdle?
No, because I don't. Well, I thought he was going to go chasing, and so until you hear, I mean, the price isn't going to shorten that dramatically, even if they decide to aim him at the champion hurdle.
What price is Samcro for the champion hurdle? He's 6-1.
He's 6-1. So I mean, if they decide to go, he's still going to be a 4-1, 9-2 shot. So relative to the chance.
I don't think he would.
You don't?
No.
Okay. Well, maybe not. Maybe it would just be a straight double. The chance that he goes or that he stays over hurdles, multiplied by the chance that he wins.
Do you think he will stay over hurdles, Johnny? Go on.
Well, another bookmaker doesn't. I remember they put betting on during the week 4-9, 13-8 hurdles versus fences, but. Ruby Walsh has chimed in, obviously, in the debate. I read that there might be a disagreement in the camp over one or the other. I'm like totally go chasing with him. Like, he was bought to be a Gold Cup winner or whatever, be a champion chase winner. If he goes hurdling, senior hurdling next season, in theory, it's going to take him pretty much 5 years from his point to point to go senior chasing. And to me, like Thierry or Francois Dumaine used to say, you get 5 years out of a horse if you're lucky. Like,
yeah.
And we don't appreciate how prone these high class jumpers are to injury, you know. And Jigginsound know that very well. I don't think he's a natural hurdler. I think he jumps quite well. He's a chaser. He's a beautiful horse. I'm actually amazed it's even a debate. I think
I'm too.
Eddie O'Leary said we've never won the champion hurdle. It'd be nice to win it. And obviously the champion hurdle is a great race, but like Samcro can't be wasted going hurling. Like I think it's a complete no-brainer. I want to see him over a fence ASAP.
Yeah,
really
same.
do.
But do you not think his hurdling was a little unfluent at times, even
he fell in punches down.
No, he didn't fall. He took a bad step after the hurdle. He's absolutely liquid over
He's
hurdle.
not liquid.
He's one of the quickest novice hurdlers I've ever seen.
He jumps fine, but he's not a hurdler.
Brilliant hurdler. He's so quick from one side to the other. He's a complete natural.
He's no Archibald now. I mean, I would disagree there. I think he's going to improve over fences. So what would you do, Juki?
I would go for the champion hurdle just because it looks such a winnable race. But I'm very utilitarian in my methods, whereas the O'Learys are all about chasers. So I just assumed he would go chasing.
That's why I'm surprised that it's so 50-50 or whatever.
Yeah, same.
Great story from David Jennings, though, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like we found out something is 50-50, which we thought was undecided, and now everyone is talking about it. That's the way it is.
The scoop.
We need a horse like
ice
this.
Cream. He's like,
wow.
Ice cream man.
Laytown next week.
Yeah.
You know?
Looking forward to that. Right, 2 hurdlers and 2 chasers for the season. Go on.
2 hurdlers and 2 chasers for the season. I love Celerio. I think he's going to be very exciting. I mean, if you were to say he's 40-1 or 33-1 for the champion hurdle, I think he's going to be the real deal, and he's probably only improving with experience. I think the filly actually that ran at Bellewstown last night, Willie Mullen's horse, was beaten at that. That was the 1-5 shot that let me down. I think she's going to be far better. Her name escapes me at the moment. But I think once she gets a strong pace, she's going to be far better. Samcro is my chaser to follow this season.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
Juki, what about you?
Carefully selected, Don Poley Reincarnate. Wait till he gets an obstacle and a trip. He would be my idea, the Albert Bartlett winner, although he's not short of speed, so he's all three novice hurdle options are open to him. Danny Curragh blew out very badly in entry, too bad to be true. Just the visual impression of that win in Kempton left a lingering impression. And chasers, Santini, who's also a little unlucky in the Albert Bartlett, but a remorseless galloper, big, strong, scopy sort, should be very effective over fences. He looks like an RSA type. And anytime I'm interested in a chaser, I'm always looking at the old HDB, because the boy de Bromhead, he has this thing about loose schooling or whatever.
They school themselves, more or less. Did that happen? They just run, they just jump themselves.
I mean, if he was into homeschooling, I'd send my children to him, because he's got real talent. So Paloma Blue, fourth in the Supreme, I would expect it to improve for fences, and it could be an Arkle contender.
Good stuff. Right, let's move on to Saturday then, the Celerio Stakes. Well, it's quite a deep race actually, but probably one of the most impressive maiden winners in the UK in Too Darn Hot. Tops the market for this. Short enough, because it's not a race that lacks depth, Juki.
No, certainly not. I mean, you've three horses who have run to 100. You have an improving Mark Johnson horse, which is great because you're guaranteed a bit of pace in the race. It's tough, isn't it? Because you know Too Darn Hot's going to be overbet. You know he's going to be too short. But he has the pedigree. It was visually sensational. Unfortunately, the horse before him in the race completely blew out. So it's hard to get a handle on the form. It's a terrible one to sit on the fence, but I'll just watch it. I think he's a really, really smart horse, and I think he will win, but he's just going to be too short. Okay.
Johnny, what about you?
The Dam obviously was a great filly, but she's going to have some influence the way things are looking.
Yeah, absolutely.
The three Dubawis have been just extremely good performers.
So this guy, Latidar,
and
she was Darami, but it's something similar as well.
Was a very good performer. I forget the name actually. Not that long ago, only a couple of years ago. Had a Frankel half brother or sister as well. I think has run a couple of times, but he just looks sensational on debut. And I think they just can keep sending this mare back to Dubai. You know, I know it's a good race, but I'd be all about his potential. I think he looks potential Derby winner next year. Really, really exciting. And you know, obviously Arthur Kitt's form is very solid as well. Confiding ran probably upped it from debut the last day. Nice, not a likeable horse, but I can see why this horse is so short, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's move on to the action from the Curragh 140. It's first of three Group 3s on the card there. It's the Flame of Tara, and quite a few of these sort of familiar enough with themselves. Juki Ponjigala, of course, Jim Bulger is kind of near enough top rated in this. What do you fancy in it?
Yeah, it's a very tricky race. So what do we make of the old Bonjour Ella?
I was second last week.
Yeah, I had high hopes for the debutant, and after the race, I was bereft with the. Now Bonjour turned the form around with the third. It was beaten 4 lengths down in Cork, I think, and turned the form around. I mean, it just doesn't look a particularly strong race, and I have to be against Just Wonderful because she looked a complete jade the last day. I wouldn't trust her in a battle at all. So I'll go for Banjukella. I have reservations, obviously 50 to 1 the last day, whether she'll repeat it. But I think if she does repeat it, it'll be good enough.
Okay, Doug. Would you be with her against Banjukella here?
I'd be just wondering if it's a little bit. Jim's had a very disappointing year as well. You know, it has been. One of the other, I suppose, veterans as a training rank, Kevin Prendergast, is a very exciting horse to look forward to. The horse who won a Leopardstown, but Jim just seems to lack a star at the moment. I'm tentatively with Dragon Roll. You know, it was a good run at the Curragh the last day, albeit well beaten by Lady Kaya. Sheila Lavery's horse in great form. This is a no-bet race.
That race kind of a bit of a non-event just because he got such a freebie in front.
And ran okay at the Curragh on Sunday. But in fairness to Dragon Roll, basically, she looks fairly solid. Good Dragon Pulse filly. Jesse's done well with the stable, and tentative selection.
Yeah, on to the second of the Group 3s, the Snow Fairy, and this is sort of, we're calling a load of the usual suspects you always get in these kind of Group 3s, the likes of Turret Rocks and that, but Mary Tudor, interesting here for me anyway, for William McCreary.
Yeah, I thought she ran an absolute blinder in the Oaks, and she's basically, I don't think dropping back in triple will be a major concern on the ground. She's plenty of form over it. She's a rating of 110, which I think is top rated in the race. Yeah. Willie's had a relatively quiet season, but his horses are in decent order, and I think she'd be one of the more solid bets of the week. You're just pretty sure she will run a race. Like.
Yeah, absolutely. So Michael Slade sends one over as well, Jukey. But
yes, and Archie Watson has one with a squeak as well. Yeah, there's not a lot between them, but that third in the Oaks stands out, and for the reason Johnny said, I don't think the drop and trip will inconvenience, so I would go for Mary Tudor.
And it wasn't a really flattering third either. Like, she was up there, and I remember when the filly Sea of Class came along, you were looking at Mary Tudor, and she was not out of her depth at all. She was battling on well, not a million miles off, kind of touching up the top two, and dropping back and trip on a little bit of ease in the ground will be fine, I think. Yeah,
definitely ease in the ground will suit her. Right, well, last week at the Curragh, Jukey, we had two amazing performances, one sort of eye-catcher and one that just took the breath away. They're reopposing again in 10 Sovereigns and Bruce Wayne, who went into everyone's notebook. What do you make of these two?
Yes, well, it was one of those, because it was quite a Midland L card at the Curragh, and you're sort of hemming and hawing, will you go? And I decided I'd go in the end, and this is why you go, because you have those potential hairs on the back of your neck situations. I mean, this horse was just unbelievable. He just sauntered into contention, won with his ears pricked. He was still green, as you'd understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
First time up for Aiden. Any Aidan O'Brien debutante winner is notable because of their strike rate going forward in stakes races. He just looks an Exocet, this horse. Bruce Wayne, you pointed that out to me after the race, actually, because I just couldn't take my eyes off the winner. So Bruce Wayne completely blew the start and was probably tomorrow's second in the race.
Yeah.
And could be interesting. People could miss that tomorrow. You might get a price betting without or something early doors, Bruce Wayne. But 10 Sovereigns. I understand. I thought he'd go straight to the middle park, but maybe Aiden. And of course, he's from the Bulger school as well. They're not earning that and standing in the box.
Sometimes as well, Aiden complains that they don't learn enough when they win that easily first time out. So
because see, he's by no name ever, and like Aiden's record at Galileo's first time out has become absolutely atrocious. They just don't win first time out, and I'm still amazed that they're often back. Like, you know, even though they rarely go off odds on now, this horse is by no name ever. He might be sharp. I'm not sure physically what he's like.
Well, he's an absolute specimen.
Well,
I thought he looked.
He's not
really
over
nice.
big though,
no,
is he? Like some of these scat daddies are absolute monsters.
Yeah, he's not like a Dali or one of those who's huge as a trio.
Bulls of horses,
he's not a bull, but he's just beautifully put together.
There's no way he would send a Galileo, to my mind, running. There's no way he'd run a Galileo like this second time a week. Now, his Saxon Warrior campaign after running in the Derby, running the Irish Derby onto the Eclipse was very unusual, and he's obviously defined a bit of convention this year, but at the same time, you can't oppose him. You know, he's just miles ahead on form. How good he'll be, I'm not sure. I mean, you just have to see tomorrow's run and hope he wins by 5 lengths or whatever to kind of confirm that impression.
Okay, you're with him there?
I think he's probably going to be 4s on or something like that.
You know, he's the most exciting maiden winner I've seen that I can remember. I haven't got a great memory, but that was just an incredible display.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick thought on the Cesarewitch. You fancy anything in this?
Yeah, I'm with Sir Jack Thomas, actually. Madeline Talicki had this horse, and the Cambridgeshire rather. You said
the Cambridgeshire.
I
Cambridgeshire.
have to make that mistake myself, actually.
This is not 2 miles in Navan yet. So.
No, I backed him in Leopardstown the last year. I thought he was a bit of a good thing, and a friend of mine said to me before the race, "What about the ground?" And I said, "I don't think it's that much of an issue. Don't think he loved the ground. He never really looked that happy." And back on this ground, he's a fast company horse. He's out of a Linamix mare. I think stepping up to a mile, he won over 7 as a 2-year-old on heavy for Madeline Talicki. I really like his attitude. I think he's going to run a blinder if he can get a decent posse from the draw. And Johnny Murtagh has had more winners on turf in Ireland this season than any other season, and we're only just starting September tomorrow.
Yeah, he wins a ton in this.
Johnny's really coming into his own, I think, as a trainer. I like backing his horses, and this is a likeable horse. I think he'll thrive tomorrow.
What about you, Jukey?
Well, fiercely competitive, as you'd expect. Firmament, I thought, was a little unlucky at York the last day. Just at a vital stage, just short of room. He's definitely weighted to win. He has a good draw. I thought he'd be a fair each way bet. Any
thoughts on your old mate Kenya? Dropping into a handicap off mark, what, 98?
I mean, he looks GATG, doesn't he? Yeah. I mean, I saw him in Leopardstown, interestingly, because he ran against the horse that was favoured for the Guineas. Gustav Klimt. And Gustav hadn't grown an inch. Whereas Kenya, who was a real looker last year, looked great. I mean, physically, he'll stand out in this company, but I think it takes a real leap of faith.
Absolutely.
The big debate for many at the Curragh tomorrow will be, what price will Perfect Tapatino be?
Okay.
Perfect Tapatino is running the 2:15. Damien English, who I'd be friendly with, had this horse last year. So he rocked up at Leopardstown, and he was sort of a 10-1 into a 4-1. Massive eye catcher.
Yeah.
He was then to run in Ballinrobe on the Monday, and it was called off, as we all remember.
Yeah.
But he was trading like, I think they went a bit of even money in the ring, and that was like gobbled, and he went back to 4-6, 4-7. And then those who got the even money, and there's few more frustrating things in betting when you have a great position and the race is called off.
Yeah.
So you can do nothing. Like
Definitely
just
would have
like.
won. Definitely.
They always would have won, yeah.
But he preserves his mark, and now he can go to the Curragh off the same mark and win a more lucrative race, albeit with 26 runners, which will be a problem for the parade ring.
Okie dokie.
But this I'm not even sure this horse will be any more than even money.
For that 50 to 70.
In a 26 runner handicap.
Right, well, let's get some of our best bets of the weekend then, and we'll wrap. Right, you might have laid your case for your best bet of the weekend then, have you?
Yeah, he is.
Perfect Tapatino?
My treble is actually going to involve Crystal Palace in the Premier League, taking on a really, really poor Stoke side. I think they're around about even money. And I'm torn between Dublin -6, or will we go with the Son of... I'll actually go with the Son of Dubawi. I think I tipped Dublin before.
Too darn hot.
Too darn hot. Perfect Tapatino and Crystal Palace in the special treble. They'll all be
special treble.
Circa even money, I think.
Okie doke. Jiggy, what about you? What's the treble?
Okay, well, I think I might do a Peyton because they're all prices.
Okay,
so the
stuff.
225 in Sandown, Red Force 1, who's on a 4-timer. He won his penultimate start in Chester despite not handling the track. Absolutely bolted up in Newbury the last day, and he has this happy habit for handicappers of just doing enough when he gets to the front.
Yeah.
But he travelled like a really good horse. Now he is up in grade from a class 4 to a class 2, which is always a worry for me, but he's around 7-1, horse going places. In the 3 o'clock Clonculis, she's a filly, she's on a 3-timer as well. She's improving fast, and I thought she won despite the race not being run to suit in Ascot the last day. It has a bit to find undoubtedly, but maybe not as much as official figures suggest, and she's going to be about 14-1. And I will stick in for the Peyton Firmament, who is running in the 4 o'clock at the Curragh. And lo and behold, I have a sports bet.
Oh, yeah.
For the viewers. So the NFL season kicks off next Thursday.
Yeah.
And I have backed the Houston Texans to win the NFL.
What?
Yeah. Because they have one of the most promising quarterbacks in the business, Sean Watson, who's had 4 knee surgeries now, I think, at this stage. They have the best defensive player in the league in J.J. Watt, and they also have Sidney Merciless and this other guy whose name escapes me, who's absolutely brilliant. So basically, if Watson's knees hold up and J.J. Watt's back holds up, they win. 25-1. That's all we need to do is for those two things.
That double on the injuries holding up is big enough, though, or short enough price, is it?
I don't want to hear the details. 25-1. The Houston Texans, and come back to me in March.
Very short story. Just after Galway played Limerick, a lot of, tired minds in Galway, blah, 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 blah. And my mate went home to our little village in Galway on the Monday night. Who rocks into the pub? Brett Favre. Just walks into the pub with his wife, and then has my old principal said, "It's Brett Favre." Who's Brett Favre, right? So he read off this Google Wikipedia of Brett Favre as a kind of a speech for him, and then he went up to the only other pub in the village and had a game of pool with the locals. This is no word of a lie.
Have quality celeb spot right there. Right, my best bet of the weekend is Too Darn Hot. Also stick in Norway in the first at the Curragh on Saturday, and the 10 Sovereigns as well won't put you wrong. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week with more What's the Word.